Hi, everybody. A really good afternoon to everyone. So, welcome to today's webinar, Getting Future Ready, Streamlining SME Finances with InvoiceNow and e-Invoicing Automation. I'm Jess, your host for this exciting session. Today, we'll explore quite a number of things, which I'll give you an agenda now. The things that we'll cover in this webinars are understanding InvoiceNow, why is it important and why IMDA is pushing it, and the benefits, and common e-invoicing pain facts, the manual processes, human error, late payments, etc. And lastly, how Assist.biz can help you solve this. So for the session today, I'll be handing over to Aryan to begin our slides and to bring you through our webinar. Aryan, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jazz. Hold on. Can you hear
Yeah.
my voice? Okay. So thank you, Jazz, for the introduction. And hi, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We're going to talk about something that can make your invoicing process faster, smarter, and less stressful, which is the Invoice Now in Singapore, right? So again, my name is Yan, and I'm a project consultant from Assist.biz, and I'll walk you through how this e-invoicing system works, why it matters, and how SMEs like yours can benefit right away. So maybe a little bit of overview of what we're going to cover today. We'll start with the basics with what Invoice Now is, what advantages for SMEs, and the challenges businesses face with e-invoicing. Third, we'll also clear up the difference between GST Invoice Now versus Invoice Now, which many of you still get confused about. And we will also show, of course, how Assist.biz can help you gear up and prepare early through a live demo. And lastly, we will have our question and answer portions to answer some of the questions from our live audience this afternoon. Okay, so first is that why Invoice Now matters for SMEs, right? But before I start, maybe I'd like to start with the questions of what exactly is Invoice Now. So Invoice Now is a nationwide e-invoicing system introduced by IMDA, or the Singapore's Infocom Media Development Authority. So it's built on something called PEPL Network, which is an international standard for e-invoicing. So this is not just used in Singapore, but in countries like Australia and parts of Europe as well. So basically, Invoice Now is, instead of sending invoices via email, which we normally do, right, or through the PDF, Invoice Now allows invoices to be transmitted directly from your accounting software to your customer system. So this means that no more printing, no email attachments, so just a pure, clean, secure, structured invoice that is being sent and received instantly between the two system, between a buyer and a supplier. But maybe many of you would have asked how this one works, right? So initially, the one you're seeing in your screen right now is the current process, which I know many of you, this is still the process that you are all using, right? So the current process of sending and receiving paper or PDF invoices is actually not considered e-invoicing. So if you're still using this kind of process wherein you generate your invoice, you convert it into PDF, and then you send it to your customer, and then the customer needs to key in manually the data to their accounting system, then that is not considered e-invoicing. So to differentiate that, let me go through the how e-invoice or the Invoice Now works on the other hand. So the details of the invoice issued via Invoice Now will be transmitted directly into the customer's accounting system without human intervention. So that's what actually Invoice Now solution is. This solutions also speeds up invoice processing, which also results in faster digital payments, also greatly reduces the time spent verifying invoices and receiving payments, right? So, okay, maybe let's slow it down a bit and really look at how Invoice Now works in practice. So imagine you're a supplier, right? And you just completed a job or delivered a goods, for example. So you open up your accounting system, right? Whether it's QuickBook or whether you're using Zero or any Invoice Now ready solution, and you create an invoice, so just like you normally do. So here's what Invoice Now Solutions is all about. So instead of exporting the invoice as a PDF, right, or attaching it to an email and hoping the recipient sees it, so what Invoice Now does is it digitally transmit the invoice through a secure standardized network called the PEPAL, which I mentioned earlier. So that means the invoice doesn't just go into someone's inbox, right? So it goes straight to the buyer's finance system, and there's no actually human in the middle with typing the value. So meaning everything is being captured um, through a system. So all the information or all the relevant information that needs to be transmitted from your customer system will automatically be captured by the Invoice Now Ready solution. So it goes straight into the buyer's finance system. So meaning no chance of typing the wrong invoice number, amount, or even the amount, and the data flows directly from one system to another, or you can just imagine it like a transaction between a machine to a machine. All right. So I hope that clears things out. Now that we've seen how Invoice Now works, right? So let's talk about why it actually matters for businesses, especially for SMEs like yours, right? So this isn't just about a fancy technology or following government trends, but this is about solving real pain points and businesses deals with every day, right? And one of the biggest reason SME struggles with cash flow, right? So part of the benefits of the Invoice Now solution is they wanted to improve the cash flow management, right? So I know a lot of you have this kind of challenge wherein you encounter delayed payments, right? So when you often experience those delays coming from your customer, right? It's also become a bottleneck when it comes to invoicing process, right? And think about it. If your invoice gets stuck in someone's emails inbox, right? Or if they make a mistake typing it into their system and your payment gets delayed, sometimes you don't even know there's a problem until you follow up a weeks later, right? But with Invoice Now, your invoice lands directly in the buyer's system, ready to be processed right away. And that's also speeds up the approval and payment cycles at the same times, which means money comes in faster, and that's essential for a healthy cash flow. Do you all guys agree? So second is to reduce the errors and cost, right? So manual entry is not just making the process slow, but it's actually risky. So can I see a hands of those who agree on that one? So a small typo can cause a big issues like payment delays, dispute with the customers, and also time wasted resolving errors, correct? But with Invoice Now, it tries to eliminate the need for rekeying the data entirely. So meaning, since the invoice is transmitted in a structured format, so everything arrives in the exact format the buyer expects. So meaning you're just not sending the invoice faster, but you're sending them accurately every single time. Now, the third one would be about streamlined processes, right? And let's face it, paperwork is a productivity killer, correct? So whether it's printing, scanning, or emailing or chasing for confirmations, admin tasks can eat up hours each week, right? But with Invoice Now, the manual steps are almost completely removed. So meaning you're not digging through inboxes or even paper files, and you're not re-entering the data anymore into your accounting system, but the invoice goes directly to to your customer system. So that's how Invoice Now works. So meaning it's clean, simple, and done in a second. So that's and the time that you can save on having that kind of automation within your organization, right? Imagine the time that you and your staff can spend on more valuable tasks, right? So we wanted you to focus on what's more important within your organization rather than spending, putting so much effort, keying the data, especially if you're processing a lot of invoices. That would really take so much of your time, right? And lastly, of course, more compliance, right? So Invoice Now is fully backed up by IMDA and aligns with Singapore's Smart Nation initiative. So by adopting it, you are staying ahead of regulatory changes and making sure your business is also compliant with national e-invoicing standards. And this is especially important if you work with government or even large enterprises. So some of them already, or some of you might already have requirement for the e-invoices, right? Or you have to be compliant with the e-invoicing um, mandate, and many others are moving in that directions already. So with Invoice Now, you're future ready and aligned with what's coming next. Okay, now moving on, let's talk about why now is the best time for SMEs to adopt Invoice Now. So let me uh, take a look on some of the common inefficiencies when it comes to, or most SMEs faced, So for example, I know many of you can actually relate, right? So how many of you have experienced lost invoices? Especially when you sent via email, right? And how many you have experienced manual data errors, especially for example, like typos, or you have input the wrong amount, or maybe you even input the wrong invoice number, for example. Or how many have you experienced missed follow-ups? Like because of a lot of invoices that you are processing, you can't even, make a traction of how many are already pending for payment or pending for collection, something like that. So someone forgot to chase the payments. And another one is mismatch formats, because the other one uses the Excel and the other uses PDF. So there's actually a mismatch format. But all this results in delays, right? So delays in internal processing and ultimately slower the payments process, which we are trying to avoid right now, especially for um, uh, people in the accounting, because I think this is one of the things that they are most commonly trying to avoid, having a slower payments and also not having uh, get paid on time, right? Especially if you are a supplier. So these are actually real problems that cost real money and time. So imagine how the organization can really cope up facing this kind of inefficiencies. And that's also what Invoice Now solution is trying to resolve and help SMEs, especially SMEs like you. Okay, now let's talk about what's coming next and something that will significantly impact all GST registered businesses in Singapore. So earlier I was talking about SMEs, right? But this is not just about, for small businesses with lower or sales revenue of less than 1 million. We all know for a fact that in Singapore, once your company reaches more than 1 million, right, you are now required to register your company as GST registered business, right? So a lot of you, or a lot of the customers that we have talked to, they still have this question of what's the difference between GST Invoice Now and Invoice Now. So GST registered business in Singapore will soon to be required to use Invoice Now ready solutions to send invoice directly to IRA. So again, Invoice Now, the one that I showed earlier, is the how the invoice now is being processed, or how it works, right? So it's digitally transmit the data between the buyer and then the customer, right? But with GST invoice now requirement, the difference is just this refers to the GST registered company. So this is also part of the government's push to digitalize tax reporting by integrating invoicing with accounting and payroll system. But the goal is to become fast, of course, more accurate when it comes to GST reporting with less manual work and fewer errors if possible, right? So if you are a GST registered, now it's the time to you to get on board with Invoice Now. So this is actually not a voluntary option or an optional for you. But if you are a GST registered, so it's better that you can have your organization prepared how you can adopt to this e-invoicing mandate that the government is really pushing. But to highlight maybe the process of how this one works. So the only difference, right? Remember, I showed you earlier that there's a four corners there, how Invoice Now works. But with the GST Invoice Now requirement, it includes the IRAS already, which is the Singapore government, right? So under this requirement, GST registered businesses will need to submit invoice data pertaining to their GST supplies and purchases to IRAS using Invoice Now Ready solutions via the Invoice Now network. So um, it's not different with the previous one that I have presented, but it's just that if you are GST registered, then you just have to send a copy to IRAS so that they would know the tax that your company have processed, right? So with invoices that are not issued using InvoiceNow, for example, for supplies made to businesses not on the InvoiceNow network or supplies made via a weekly, right? And this is actually optional. But for GST registered businesses to report transaction through Invoice Now should not be an optional if you are a GST registered. So both use the same technology, but one is about business efficiency, which is the Invoice Now, while the other or the GST Invoice Now requirement is about tax compliance. So that's actually basically the difference between the two. All right, moving on to the roadmap of the GST invoice now, or how do I know if, if my company will be required to this one, right? So all GST registered businesses will soon to be required to transmit invoice data to IRS using the Invoice Now Ready solutions via the Invoice Now network. So I think that is very clear and self-explanatory. But starting this month, so this is the duration wherein the government is doing the soft launch, wherein all GST registered businesses who wants to head start can begin to submit the invoice data to IRS using the Invoice Now Ready solution. Then come November this year, newly incorporated companies from May 1, this month that applies for voluntary GST uh, registration are also required to start submitting invoice data to IRS using the same technology, which is the Invoice Now. And then next year, come April next year, all new voluntary GST registrants are required to start submitting invoice data to IRS using the Invoice Now Ready solution. So if any one of you right now that falls under this date, then you should try to consider having the solutions that will help you how you can get comply easily with this mandate, right? Okay, so now that we've clarified the difference between Invoice Now and GST Invoice Now requirements, so let's talk about how business can get ready without the headache, right? So it's designed to help SMEs and GST registered businesses like yours seamlessly comply with the new IRA. So allow me just to walk you through on how Assist.biz, which is a PEPL ready e-invoicing system, can help you, and also explore some of the other benefits that you can get when it comes to real-time digital invoicing. All right. So Assist is actually a web-based AI-powered AP automation tool that is designed to eliminate manual work and compliance headaches, right? So we're trying to move away from paper documents with cloud-based storage, right? And we can actually, or the system can automatically captures and categorize invoices and receipts via the AI-driven instructions, and we can also seamlessly connect to accounting or ERP system. Meaning, if you do have your existing accounting system or whatever ERP systems you're using, you don't have to like change any of it, or even if you don't have any systems at all, you can still use our platform. And lastly, automates approval and direct submissions to regulatory portals is also part of what Assist can provide. So meaning it's all in one platform and no more fragmented tools, right? But let me quickly show you how Assist works, right? So here's how simple AP automation becomes with Assist, right? So all you have to do is, again, since this is a document management system, right? So you just have to upload or ingest the documents via the platform. You can either snap a photo using your mobile phones. You can also ingest it via the email, or directly upload the PDF or the documents onto the platforms itself, right? And again, as we utilize the technology, the AI, so it can also automatically identifies the document type. So meaning if you try to upload, let's say, an invoice or a receipt or a claim, for example, so the system would automatically recognize that via our automatic classification feature. And also the OCR captures all the relevant information, right? So for the information, you don't have to worry that whatever you put into the system, right? You have to like identify, oh, what information do I need to put into the Invoice Now system, or what information do I need to submit to IRAS if I am a GST registered company, right? So the system can automatically extract all the relevant information for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And of course, approval and transfer, right? So even before it gets to any of the system, right? If you do have any internal process that you requires an approval, maybe depending on the amount, for example. So the system can also support approval workflow before it gets to any accounting or compliance portal. And lastly, the system also learns from corrections, improving accuracy over time. So meaning, the more you feed or the more information you feed into the system, the more it also recognizes the information that you are trying to put in, so that the next time you try to upload it again, then you don't have to redo it again. So the system has that capability to identify um, the type of document and information that you are trying to fit into the system. So that means it's fast, accurate, and fully automated, of course. And of course, Assist is packed with powerful features, right? As I mentioned, it eliminates the manual data entry. It also routes invoices based on rules and limits. And you can actually directly integrate with InvoiceNow. So the one that I had talked about, so with Assist, it's already integrated with the InvoiceNow. So you don't have to like get any third party tool just for you to connect to it. But with Assist, it can help you extract all the datas coming from your invoice or whatever document that you're trying to upload, like whether it's an invoice, claims, or even a receipts. So it can actually extract those data and can directly connect to Invoice Now. And of course, we provide a real-time expense tracking. So everything you need in just one single platform. All right. So again, why choose Assist? I think isn't just another AP tool. It's a hybrid solution that delivers real impact, right? So we both handles e-invoicing and AI-driven data extraction, which I believe none from the market or none from any provider can provide. And we are 100% compliance with the Invoice Now, and we provide control. We also integrate with accounting and ERP systems seamlessly. So just simply put, Assist can help you save time, money, and compliance risk. Okay, now I think the question is, how can you be ready and prepare early, right? Simply scan the QR code that flash on your screen using your mobile phone camera, and it will take you straight to our free trial sign up page. So with during the trial period, you will get 30 pages, so you can try it out and explore the tool. So with Assist e-invoice solution, you can create invoices faster. So no more typing hundreds of fields. Just upload and email your invoice and you're done. And you can also submit with confidence, say goodbye to your manual checks, and our system will validate your invoice in a seconds. And yes, there's a free version available for life, but this one is limited to 30 pages only. So you have the whole time to whether you want to reuse those 30, or if you need more, then that's the time that you have to sign up, of course, with the next plan that we have, which is a standard and the premium one. So you can scan the QR code on the screen right now and get started instantly. So let's Assist help you save time, stay compliant, and focus on what matters, and help you grow your business. So with that, I think we're also offering a 10% discount for early adopters plus instant setup and a risk-free trial. So this is your chance to be compliant without stress and head of the headlight. So once you decided to sign up and then upgrade your plans into annual plan, within 7 days after you sign up, then you will get 10% discount on your annual plan. So let's not wait for the last minute. Start now and make this transition smooth and smart. So with that, I think I'd like to thank everyone for being with me and trying to being with me until the end of my presentation. But before that, we will have a live demo which my colleague will help me walk you through. So before I even introduce David, so I'd like to thank everyone. And if you do have any questions or need any inquiries, feel free to visit our website at www.assist.biz or send us your inquiry at assist.biz. So again, to walk us through the live demo of Assist, I'm excited to hand things over to the next speaker, Daven. She's our business development specialist and the go-to person for all e-invoicing and automation. So Daven will also show you exactly how easy it is to upload a document, extract the data, and get it submitted for InvoiceNow compliance, all in just a few clicks. So without further ado, Daven will take the floor. So see you again later for the question and answer. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ariane, for the presentation. We have got something special just for you. You got a free trial for your invoice now with Assist.biz. If you sign up now and subscribe to subscription within 7 days, you'll unlock a 10% discount, just as mentioned by Ariane. For now, before we introduce David to do our live demo for all our participants, I request all participants to sign up for our Assist software so that you can familiarize yourself while David do the presentation. I'll hold a minute before I pass the floor to David. All right, guys, it has been a minute and I hope you have signed up. So for now, let me welcome to you, Devin, to do the live demo for our Assist.biz Invoice Now feature. Devin, over to you.
Thank you again for a very exciting session. Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin. I'm applying to want to arrive at Assist. Your art is one trust and I explain and today we'll focus on the invoice business filing. Based on the questions, we have a Q&A section after the live event, so that we can answer the questions. Now let me share my screen and show you how this is processed.
Devin, I think you'll need to adjust your mic. It's quite muffled up for us. It's still very muffled up, Devin.
Can you put in more flavor? Okay, as a class, everyone. So after you sign up, our system will navigate you to assist the interface. This one. On the left side, you can see the income, or the AR, the terms, and the expense, as well as the AT. We also have approval method connection. In connections, we have interpretation. So whether it is zero or fifty, we have a connection to the accounting system because we can see our presenting to the platform. We also have the e-invoicing and we can choose what country, so whether Singapore or Malaysia.
Devin, sorry for interrupting you. I think some of them are saying they can't hear you clearly, so you might need to get closer either to your mic or you need to adjust some settings.
Can you guys hear me more clearly?
Yep, Devin, it's good now.
Yeah, okay. So I will start sharing again.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Yeah, Okay, so I will resume. So you need to select your country, and then we'll start input all the required data, including your company name, address, postal code, and UEN. After you finish input all your information, you can select I agree to term and conditions, and then you click submit. Well, you need to make sure all the information is correctly input, otherwise the validation will be failed. So when you finish submit, we will take up to 1 day to get you verified, and then you will have the invoice feature enabled. Now every document that you upload onto a platform will be categorized as ARAP as I showed you earlier. Now I will proceed to demo how we can upload document. You need to select add document here. There's a two-way where you can upload your invoice onto the platform. Either you can browse or select a file, or you can copy the email that we provide for you. So I will show you how we use this via email because this is the easiest way. You copy the emails, you go to your Gmail address, you just need to pass the receiver mail here, and you need to attach the invoice sample. You don't need to input anything, you just click send, and then on the platform you will see the invoice processing for you. Okay, I will reload it to see the invoice. Here you can see the invoice sample that I sent via email before. We also attach the sender. We also have the sender email here so that you know who sent the invoice to the platform for clarity and clearance. Okay, we need to reload again for the invoice to process. Okay, now it's already done. When you select the invoice, on the left side, you can see the image of the invoice. And on the right side, you can see all the information already been extracted for you, including the supply info, receiver info, order info, and other items. Now I will change this to AR so that we can send it at e-Invoicing. So when you select AR, you see can be sent at e-Invoice. We need to select it. Well, one good thing about this system is that we will learn from all the informations that you already input. So before we already input the customer name and customer UEN and customer address. So the system will automatically fill it in for us. So you don't have to input it again. And when you're done, you just need to submit it, and then the system will send it to the Singapore Tax Authority. For example, I already have an invoice sent here. Yeah. After send, you can go to the e-invoice history and you go to invoice to view the invoice that already submitted to tax authority. Yeah, so that's all for the process. It's very simple, right? Okay, that's all for my side. Thank you for your attention. And now we'll come to the Q&A section.
All right, thank you so much, Davin, for doing the demo for us earlier. So once again, everyone, we would like to encourage you guys to sign up to Assist now. And on our screen, as you can see, we have a lifetime offer happening for 10% off if you subscribe to our annual plan, and you can enjoy a risk-free trial, and you can always have a support if you have any questions. So I'll give you a minute again just to see if you would like to continue or sign up, and we'll hold before we move on to the Q&A section. Please feel free to ask any question in our chat so I can bring it up to Devin and Ariane after this for you guys. All right, Ariane and Devin, we'll begin our Q&A now. So the first question for the both of you is, if I have overseas customer, is the process the same?
Okay, maybe I'll take that question, Jazz. Thanks for the question. I think yes, the process will still be the same, right? But it really depends on what kind of overseas customers you have. So whether your overseas customer is also registered as a in the PEPL network, right? Remember, I have presented that all this information will go through from one system to another, from your buyer's perspective to the customer's perspective, through the PEPL network, right? So if, for example, if your overseas customer is PEPL ready, let's say, you can still send the e-invoice directly through the InvoiceNow, just like how you would want to send it with your local customer, and the process is actually exactly the same. So your invoice is routed through the PEPL network to their system automatically. And but in the scenario that, let's say, your overseas customer is not PEPL ready, you can't send the invoice via the InvoiceNow, and you need to have to go through the traditional method, which is the initial one that I have shown, which is you have to send the copy of the invoice to your customer outside because they are not yet PEPL ready or connected to any of the PEPL ready system. So yeah, but it's the same if your customer or overseas customer is PEPL ready. And how do you know? Maybe there's a follow-up question. How do you know if your customer is PEPL ready, right? I think there is a directory which you can find online, and then you can search the company name there, and then you can get the PEPL ID of the customer so that you would know if the customer is PEPL ready.
All right, the next question will be, will SEOs keep a record of all my transactions?
Who's the question is addressing to? That's the question.
Any of you. It's not necessary to be addressed. Any of you. Feel
Can you
free
repeat the question again? Sorry.
The question is, will SEOs keep a record of all my transactions?
Okay, I think that's a great question. Will I take that, or David, would you want to answer?
Yes, of course. We have previous customer that they use Assist to store all their transactions or their invoice from previous years. So of course, we will keep all your transactions up to 10 years.
All right. So the third question is going to be, can I send e-invoices to overseas customers or only in SG?
Yeah, I think it's the same questions that I answered previously. So yes, you can still send e-invoice to overseas customer and not just for Singapore. And I also wanted to highlight, right, that PEPL network is the standard way of sending e-invoice. And this is not just used by Singapore only, but actually in the entire areas of the world like Australia, New Zealand, even Malaysia is also using this um, framework. So this is not only for Singapore. So yeah, you can still send your invoices to overseas customer.
All right. And another question I see here is this using PEPL network? I think you have mentioned that quite a number of times. So the answer is yes.
Yes. And I think that's what we are all here, right? So that's why we are also trying to make our customer understand why Assist.biz is here to help. So of course we are PEPL ready. So you don't have to worry about, how you guys can get PEPL ID. Is there something like registration that you have to go through? But with using our platform, you can, easily get compliance, and yes, it is PEPL ready.
All right, I think the next question is to Devin. There's a question from Grace. Is this e-invoicing for APAR credit note claims all have to be sent to the IRAS?
Yes, we will be send a copy to IRIS.
All right. And another question. So if we use InvoiceNow, is it a must use for Xerox user? Is it using InvoiceNow in Xerox or have to use Assist.biz only? So I think this question is more likely about the integration. Maybe David, you can take over this one.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. So if we use InvoiceNow, is it a must to use for Xerox user? Is using InvoiceNow in Xerox have to use Assist.biz?
Actually, Assist is not a central platform. If you use Zero, you can also use Assist.biz, and it will help your process more smooth, more seamless.
All right. The next question is, we have our own customized software. How to embark on new invoice?
Maybe I'll take that one. So yeah, I think whether you are using any customized or in-house developed system, as also mentioned in the presentation, right? Assist can seamlessly integrate with accounting, any accounting system or ERP systems that you have already in place in your organization. So think of it like Assist will not replace your accounting system or any of your in-house developed system, but we can do seamless integration. So it doesn't have to be like two systems talk to each other. But one of the features of our platform is that you can even extract data, like whatever you need to ingest to your customized software, right? So with Assist, once we extracted the information coming from our platform, then we can identify whatever information you wanted to put into your accounting system. But of course, it has to be like, of course, we have to go through like a requirements, scoping, because part of the solutions that we are actually offering is that we do have the standard plans wherein we already have the system, as is, that is ready to use for our SME consumers, especially for solopreneurs. But if also there are requirements to have a customized integration, then that's also be something that Assist can also accommodate under the enterprise plan.
All right, another one question. What will happen if we made a mistake to our invoice uploaded to Papel? Can it still be corrected?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe I can take that.
Yeah.
On the platform, we have a section called a credit note where you can issue a refund, a return, or adjustment to your previous invoice. So of course you can, if you make a mistake to your invoice clause, you can issue a credit note.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, to what David have shared, before you can even pass on the information to a system, right? What Assist can provide you is that it gives you the visibility of what information has been extracted, right? Though I don't know if you can recall, or based on the demo that David showed earlier, once the data, or once you uploaded the document, right? So the system will extract the information right before you can even send it to accounting system or even into the InvoiceNow portal. You still have the chance to like edit it. And as I mentioned also, the more the system also has this capability to recognize correction, right? So that the next time you try to upload similar format and then you corrected it already, then the system would already know. So you don't have to redo it. But yes, to answer, there's still a chance for you to edit it. But there is a scenario that when you already send it to the IRAS, meaning it's already sent to the government, right? Then there's no way for us to retract it. That's why David mentioned that you can always issue a credit note if there's any adjustment that needs to be made once the e-invoice has been submitted. Yeah.
All right, so far I don't see any questions, but let's wait a minute to see if we have any more questions coming in at the moment. All right, we have a question that just came in. Is it compulsory also to send all purchase invoices to IRS or only sales invoices?
You mean send all purchase invoices to IRS or only the sales invoices?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, if we go back to the diagram that I have shared, maybe let me take a look on it. And then maybe for everyone's appreciation, I'll flash it again. Can you guys see?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Yeah. So, okay. So if you're, let's say, for example, a seller, right? So the question is it compulsory also to send all the purchase invoices to IRAS or only sales invoices? Okay. Maybe the question is it compulsory to send to IRAS? I think the answer to that is yes, if you are a GST registered company, right? So as long as you are a GST registered, then yes, you have to send a copy of both your purchase order, right, as a buyer, or even your uh, sales invoices. So send supply data to IRAS and also send purchase data to IRAS. So yes, it's compulsory if you are GST registered. But for non-GST, then no need to send a copy to the IRAS system.
All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Yan. Another question just came in. Can I test e-invoice without impacting my InvoiceNow account?
Okay, I think that's a good question. And from what I know, I think because right now there's no test environment that InvoiceNow is actually providing. So that's why there's a lot of customer who would want to test it out. But what we're doing right now, just for us to be able to do some demos, right? We're just because it's a production. So maybe you can just we can provide you a test environment, maybe a mock-up invoice that you can send with zero amount, so that whether regardless if it goes to the IRS, then they will just ignore it because the amount is still, you know, to test it.
All right. Another question has came in from Jacinda. You mentioned it is going to be mandatory with deadline for companies registered before 1st May 2026. Is this information available on IRAS?
Okay, maybe I'll try to understand further the questions. You mentioned it is going to be mandatory with deadline for companies registered before May 1 by 2026. Is this info available in IRAS? Okay, I think if you're talking about if this information is available in IRAS, yes, I think this is available in their website. So you can also check their roadmaps there. So where they plan to get everyone use the e-invoice mandate. But I think for companies registered, right, if you are GST registered, this year up to November, it's still optional. So meaning it's not yet mandatory. But come next year, yes, it will be mandatory. But the exact date of when IRAS would want every GST registered company would comply, I think they haven't provided the exact date yet. So everything is still optional for everyone.
All right. Let's wait a while and see if we have more questions coming in. At the moment, we have answered all of them. All right, one just came in. I think this goes to Devin. Can we input sales invoice without stated the specific customer, example, cash sales? And can we input supplier invoices if not attention to the company, example, staff claims?
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure, I can. So the first part of the question goes, can we input sales invoices without stated the specific customer, for example, cash sales? That's the first part of the question.
Okay, so I see that the question is, can you input the sale invoice without state the specific customer, cash sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, so first, we need, obviously you can, but then it cannot be sent as a invoice because you don't have the specific customer to receive. And the same for the second part of the questions, for if you input supplier invoice, If not attend to the company or staff claim, obviously our system can extract the data of it, but yeah, the status or the type of the document will be marked as claim, and you cannot send it as an invoice.
All right. Okay, let's wait if we have any final questions before we wrap the session up. At the moment, everything has been answered. So let's give it one more minute just to wait to see if we have any last minute questions coming through. All right, so I'm going to present to us our last question at the moment that's in the Q&A section. Seller need to send sales and its purchase invoices to IRS. Buyer also need to send purchase invoices and its sales invoices to IRS, correct? Both parties all need to send. Is that true?
Okay, maybe I'll take that one. Okay. Okay, to simply answer that, yes, both. Okay, but then again, as if you are a GST registered, then yes, you have to send a copy of it, right? So again, if you are a seller, you have to send a copy of the purchase order and your sales invoice to it. But if you're a non-GST, then no need to send a copy to IRS. I think that's really what makes it confusing, right? When to send a copy to IRS. So you will only send a copy if you are a GST registered. But if not, then no need to worry about it. You can just send or still use the InvoiceNow solution, and then maximize the digital transmission of the invoice between your company going to your customer, and same goes from customer going to the buyer.
All right, thank you, Yan. I think we have covered all our questions for today. So I'll wrap this Q&A session up now. And for the last bit, thanks again to Devin and Yan for giving us the presentation and demo earlier. I hope what we presented is going to be fruitful for everybody who attended this webinar today. Once again, I would request everybody who attended the webinar, please go and sign up to our Assist.biz now and use our InvoiceNow software and make it a seamless transaction for you. And lastly, we have a free trial at the moment. So you can see the link in the chat box below we have included. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email to inquiry@Assist.biz, or either just reach out to any of us on the website. We'll be really helpful to all of you and all your inquiries. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending the webinar today. Thank you again, Yan and David.